I've been in the life insurance industry in some capacity since 2009, and over that time, one of the things that I've spent the bulk of my energy and effort doing is training, teaching agents how to build successful, thriving practices. And in this video, what I want to do is I want to cut through all the noise and talk about the truth about what it's like to be a life insurance agent. I think right now in this world in 2023, our industry is growing. You know, there's more IMOs, the World Financial Groups, the PHPs, the PFAs, people joining the independent channels. People are joining this because I think there's a flock of people that are just attracted like a magnet to what the life insurance industry has to offer with security, with predictability, and all these things. And I think we have to be careful to make sure that companies that we align with are actually in alignment with our values and beliefs and why we want to join this space in the first place. There's a lot of people that are being sold into this industry with false expectations of getting rich and how easy it is. And in this video, I'm going to go through things you need to consider. How do you make decisions on different companies? What should your expectations around income be? What should your expectations around how much effort you're going to have to put into it? Who are you going to need to become to get to where you want to go? Who are you going to need to be professionally to get to that place of income? What are the time expectations on that? What are you going to have to go through? What kind of support do you need? All these different things. I'm going to get into that in this video. And so if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, that way you're notified every time I launch a new video, because I got videos like this coming out every single day. And I don't believe there's another channel on YouTube that provides more value to people who are looking to either buy life insurance or agents that are looking to sell it and become more proficient in serving people through the use of life insurance. And so that's it. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, Cashflow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and we are going to be talking about the truth about being a life insurance agent. Now, this is really hard because there's so much information out there, so many competing opinions, and before I get going on this, I just want to say this is just my opinion. I think I'm going to do my best to articulate the why behind my opinion, why I feel the way I do, how I've kind of come to my conclusions on why we do things the way that we do. As you may or may not know, I started an IMO at the beginning of 2022, and that IMO, we work, and I believe we're building something that's extremely unique and different compared to anything out there in the industry. And the reason I started it, even though from 2016 to 2020, the end of 2021, I wasn't able to sell. I didn't have an IMO. I've been creating content that whole time just to serve people and kind of pay it forward. The reason I did it is to solve a problem, because I got tired of seeing these gaps in the industry where people were wanting to come in. I started getting way too many phone calls from people saying, Chris, I've joined this company, I'm doing this. I feel like I was sold something that's not really there. And ultimately, I'm creating this video right now, hopefully to reach people before they get in the industry, so they can know how to make better decisions about what company, what products, and whatever they want to align with, right? Like there's all sorts of different options, whether you want to sell whole life insurance, index universal life insurance, final expense, mortgage protection, doesn't really matter. You know, they're all options. There's not a good or a bad thing. I would argue, except for maybe the IUL side is just misunderstood and misrepresented and maybe missold. It doesn't make it a bad product. It just makes it so the way that the companies are selling it is bad, right? If that makes sense. But, you know, the final expense space, that's not for me. Like, I don't have a passion for helping people in that phase of their life. I have a passion for helping people with their personal finances, increasing their financial efficiency, eliminating debt, being more financially proficient so they can create a path to get to where they want to be at the end of their life, right? Like when it comes to retirement, how do you create a more predictable result and gain control of the results in your life? That is my passion in helping people do that. That is why we create the content that we do. That is why we have the agency that we do. That is why we train people to do things in a certain way, because I believe that how you show up in this business has to be in alignment with your values and beliefs. And if it's not, you're gonna fail. Like there's no way around it. This cannot be about you. It always has to be about the client. But in order for you to truly do that, you have to really, really, really know exactly what you're doing. I'm a big believer, you gotta be willing to slow down to go fast. And so this is kind of these are some of the things that I've noticed is that people get into this business and it's really easy. Unfortunately, it's so simple to pass a state life insurance test. It is. It's like, it literally, I studied when I first did it back in 2009. It took me 4 days to study for the test. That's it. And I passed it. And I think I got like an 88, and it's like, if it's that easy and the barrier to entry is that low, well, no wonder there are literally 100,000 plus agents like joining every single year into the space. It's absurd. Well, it's a combination of the fact that there's a lot of uncertainty in the economy, the job market is kind of spotty, and people are interested in what we have going on right now, especially right now, the way the mortgage industry is shrinking. And has contracted with the rates the way that they are, the way the real estate market is slowed down. A lot of mortgage advisors, mortgage brokers, and real estate agents are now getting their life insurance license to supplement their other businesses. And you can do life insurance on a part-time basis, but if you handle it like a part-time job, and if you don't invest in your ability to really truly understand what you're doing and understand how you solve problems for other people, you're going to struggle, right? Like, it cannot be, one of the things I always talk to the people on my team about is you cannot be a life insurance salesperson. You have to be more of a financial guide, if you will, because our job is to not sell anybody anything. Our job is to educate people and guide them and ask them questions and let them ask us questions and help them map out what they want out of their life, right? Because now if that happens, if you ask me, hey, Chris, how much life insurance do I need? I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to ask you questions about your life. What are your objectives? What are your goals? What are your fears? What are your current resources? What are your resources in the future going to be, you think? Like, what does your debt look like? All these different variables, right? And we're going to get into that. And, then I'm going to then hit you back with questions, and I'm going to ask you more clarifying questions, and you're going to dig deeper, and you're going to come to your own conclusions based on a level of education. And I think when you come from this, come into this industry from a place of service and from a place of being a guide for people and not just ripping off a script and not just going down this process where you're trying to fit everybody into your box, like selling them your product, you're going to be better served. Now, the challenge with that is you got to be willing to go slow to go fast, right? Meaning there's doing it this way that I'm talking about is harder. Right? It forces you to become more. It forces you to invest in yourself. It forces you to take more time on the front end to learn this stuff, to build your proficiency, to build your confidence, to work with the right people, to have the right mentorship, to watch the courses, to spend the hours in there. I've spent literally probably 20-something thousand hours doing nothing but this, right? And so obviously I don't expect somebody who's new to be able to communicate and understand all the different elements of the financial space that I do. But you get there little by little, and what you want to do is you want to work with people that you align with their values and you align with what they're doing, and you take that mentorship and you kind of learn on the fly. But it's like that statement, like trust yet verify. And one of the challenges that I see in organizations like World Financial Group, PHP, and PFA is like they don't want anybody to stray. It's all about fitting people into a box, right? It's all about like follow this script, do what we say, this is what sells the most. And it's not really about like identifying problems for people and really customizing the solution based on a well-rounded understanding of the industry, right? And so that is the challenge that most people have, and that is the challenge that most agents have, is that you need a fast result. You don't have the right mentorship, you don't trust it, and at the end of the day, when we look at this, one of the things that I want to show here is, the compensation plan. When you're looking to choose a company, when you're looking to decide what company, you got to figure out what's the compensation plan. So when we look at the compensation plan, one of the things that these companies typically do is they start you off at 30%. So here's the problem. You then have an upline. Now the problem is your upline is also getting a rate. Let's just say it's 60%, just for giggles. I think that's probably accurate. So what happens here is if you go in and you work with your upline, what happens typically is that the upline will split the case with you 50-50, And so you get 50% of the whole case. So let's say it's a $10,000 premium, and let's just assume it's all base, even though it wouldn't be, just to say there was $10,000 of total commission. Let's say it that way. That was going to be paid on a case. Well, what happens is this gets divided. So you get 50% of 50%. So it's $5,000, but you get 30% of 5,000. So you'd make 1,500. Right? That's your commission in this instance. Meanwhile, your upline, if they're making 60%, they're going to get 60% of that. So that's going to be 3,000. Plus they did a split case. They're going to get the override on you, which is 30, because 60 minus 30 is 30. So they're going to make 1,500. And this is where they make 4,500. So I just wanted to show this example of like you, the agent, go in and you bring the value to the table and you make 1,500, your upline makes 4,500. Now I have no problem if they wanted to split it with you as a training fee, as a whole, but the problem is they're getting an override and they're basically double dipping the override and splitting the case. And that is where the problem exists, right? Because they're making literally 3 times more money. And that is why I call it an internal consumption model. In these big IMOs, in these big organizations like World Financial Group, PHP. That this is because it's an internal consumption, because they want to recruit people just to get access to your list so they can do that, right? And they know most people are going to fail. 93% of agents in those organizations fail within the first 3 years, and so you just got to be really cautious about that, right? And so. At the end of the day, it's really important that you make sure that, once again, you align with a company that shares your values and beliefs, that you understand what their training program is, you understand what their sales program is, and that you don't get bullied into doing something that you're not comfortable with, right? Now, on the other side of things, let's just talk about income, right? Because we want to make money, and as much as we want to make money, we also want to do what's right for other people. And as much as we want to do what's right for other people, we have to be really careful, because it's that old adage, as the airplane's going down, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on the person next to you, because if you're not taken care of, the person next to you can't be taken care of. And so it's this fine balance of making sure that you're serving other people, but you're also getting paid valuable, or in alignment and in correlation with the value that you're bringing to the table. And so one of the things that I think is really important to understand here is that you are really clear about what your needs are, and you can reverse engineer a plan to get there, right? So you got to pick a number. So like financial needs, right? Like, let's just talk this over, because I think this is important. Different people come in with different needs, right? Some people come in part-time and they're like, hey man, if I could earn 20,000 a year, that's all I need, right? And so then there's variables. Let's just say it's somebody part-time, and let's say somebody's, they want to earn 6 figures. So what are the variables? Well, now what we need to do is we say, okay, well, I don't know, based on my audience, what am I going to do? Well, okay, I've got my warm market. And this is where everybody's pretty much going to start. And I think that's smart to start with people, because the hardest part of this business is establishing relationships with people, is building that trust. And your warm market is where that trust is going to be the most important. Now, to that point, what I want to say is, if you're going to expose your warm market to this, we're talking your family, your friends, your business associates, people that you've had long-term relationships with. You want to make sure that you're doing this in a way that's not going to violate their trust. That's not going to put a wedge between your relationship with them, right? And if you sell them the wrong product, and if you do anything that hurts them from a long-term basis, nothing could be more detrimental to your long-term relationship than that. So make sure that you are completely in alignment and educated on whatever you're doing, or that you at least trust the flow and trust the system before you go and do that. And I find that's what happens a lot too often, is that people go out and they say, the compensation model will start you, right? So you start, actually, I'll get there. I'm going to come back to that, because I want to make sure it all flows. So you start with your warm market. Eventually, you're going to have to go to a cold market. But at the end of the day, when you start with an organization, typically what happens is as you're going through this, a lot of these IMOs try to get you to recruit. And so you start at 30% commission, and then you go up the commission rank as you recruit 3 people and start selling policy value. then you can start earning a higher percentage of commission, right? So as you do that, all right, you start at 30%. Well, in order to make $20,000, your first $20,000, if you don't recruit people and you stay at that 30%, what do you need to do? Well, based on this over here, you can see you need to sell, if 10,000 here would get you 1,500, you need to sell about 130,000 in premium. So 130,000 in premium to hit 20 of premium to hit 20,000, which by the way is insane to me. That is the problem. So what you need to do is you need to think about like, all right, what are the things that I need to do to align with making sure, like if you have a passion, making sure that you're in this business for the long haul, right? So when you get into this, it's going to be really hard out of the gate. You don't want to burn through your warm market and give most of the commissions to somebody else. You want to you want to get into this. You want to take the time to learn it. You want to make sure that this commission that you start with, starting commission, is as high as possible. And now this is going to be different. Let's talk about this for a minute. There are different commission rates that you can start with. So a typical IMO that I've been talking about is going to start at 30% commission. Okay. That said, you could earn higher than that. You could go start with a company and get maybe 80% street right out of the gate if you want to be completely independent. And there's options in between this gap right here, right? You could do anything between 30 and 80% ultimately. A very common place to start is like the 55 to 60% range, depending on what's going on. The question that you have to ask yourself is, what do you get for this, right? Because I'm not a big believer in the commission game. I have a lot of people that call me every day and they're like, Chris, I want to join Life 180. Okay, that's great. And then they say, I want a 100-point contract, or I want an 85-point contract. And I go, well, what are you doing? And how much business have you written? And they're like, well, not very much yet, but I'm really motivated. Okay, well, that's fine. Like, how much do you know? Well, not very much, but I'm very motivated. Okay. You can go get a contract with some of the carriers directly or a different IMO. People throw compensation around like it's water. But at the end of the day, you got to look at what's the value of it, right? So not all 80% are created equally. And you have to ask yourself, if you go get 80%, but you don't get the training, what would it be worth it maybe to get the 60% instead of the 80%, for that training? Now, the question that you have to ask is the training in alignment? Is it going to help me produce more? Am I going to trust it? Is it going to help me grow? Well, how hard is it for me to elevate and grow from 60% to the 80%? What are the requirements on me to do so? And at the end of the day, I want you to know that as you go through this, I'm gonna pull the screen up here so you can see it better. But I want you to know as you go through this, and you start thinking about like, what do you need? I think everybody should start thinking about like, I want to start with 6 figures and it's not because of you making the money, by the way. It's about, I want you to get to a place where you believe in this so much. And Dean Graziosi says this, and it's one of the best statements, and I think everybody needs to get behind this. And if you can't get behind this, you're in the wrong industry, check out, go do something else. You got to believe so much in what you do that not sharing this with people that you care about would be doing them a disservice. People ask me, why am I so good at this? It's because I believe in this stuff so much. I've seen it have such impact in so many people's lives. I've seen what it's done in my life. I've seen my business partners. I've seen all these different things, the clients and the people that we've helped over the years. And I've seen it. And so I've got this passion for it. I've seen what it's done in my family, right? And when you have this passion for it and you understand what it will truly, truly do for people, I know, and I'm driven by this belief that if I don't share it with you, with somebody else, with anybody that I come in contact with that's open-minded about it, I'm doing them a disservice, right? I almost look at it as a responsibility, right? And with great gifts, because I have this gift of this knowledge and this belief, and I encourage you, you got to take the time to grow your gift and grow your ability. And with that comes responsibility. And we got to share that. You got to pay it forward. And that's what it is. And so I'm a big believer that, you got to focus on the $100,000 minimally to get started, because money follows value, right? And so you look at it from the perspective of like, hey, how much value am I adding to the world? You don't go into there looking to maximize the profitability of every policy. You go into there trying to add as much value to the world, and if you do, the money will follow. This $100,000 here, this 6 figures, that's just a scoreboard. That's just showing you, hey, did I show up? How much of an impact? This is like an impact number. What are you doing in the world to make that impact? What are you doing in your community? Are you doing it with your friends, your family, your business associates? And that is that. Now, once you get through that and you build this and you go, all right, what companies are going to give the compensation, percent commission? What companies are going to have the best training? What companies are going to give the best support, like sales support, point of sale? What are going to go on cases with you and not force you to split commissions that they're already getting overrides, right? That's a big thing. These uplines double dipping, right? And to me, that's a big conflict, right? Which companies are going to do this? Which companies allow you to build a team? Right? Because a team. Now, and that's one of the things when I did what I did in building the Life 180 agency, it was important for me to allow people to build a team, but not require it, right? And so as we build it and allow it, it allows people to kind of climb the ranks based on personal production. But you don't need to recruit to get a raise. You could just go out and produce. If you want to recruit, if you want to build a team, I would argue you're not allowed to recruit until you hit a certain level of proficiency, because I don't want a bunch of uneducated derelicts around there representing this stuff and giving the industry a worse reputation than it already has, because what we do is so powerful, but it gets screwed up by too many people going around talking about something that they don't understand, right? And so these are the things that you really need to concentrate on and contemplate when you're going through that. And then you go, all right, if this is my goal, the training and the support and me being able to make sure that I'm able to make it, because if 93% fail in the first 3 years, how do I not be this? How do I be part of this 7% that are succeeding? Well, if your commission rate is too low and you got to have too much business, I mean, this $130,000 of premium, instead of $20,000 of income, if you just up that to a 60% commission and you don't have to split the cases, you're talking about a $65,000 income for the same effort, right? So think about that. It's insane to me that people are not seeing this. The challenge is most people getting into this business don't know what they don't know, right? And so one of the things that I think is really important, and one of the reasons I designed Life 180, the organization, the structure, the compensation plan, everything the way that we've done it is because of the fact I said, all right, knowing what I know with my 12 years, 13 years of experience in the business, helping all the people that I've helped, seeing the people succeed, seeing the people fail, and seeing why they failed. Like, what do people need to really increase their chances of success? Now, I'm not of the delusion that I believe I can make every single person successful. That's on you. You gotta invest in yourself. You gotta dedicate the time. You gotta dedicate the proficiency and really educate yourself on the technicals of the business. You gotta learn the sales side. You gotta learn the product side. You gotta work with the mentors. You gotta do the activity. You gotta hold yourself accountable to make sure that you're doing all the right things and you're managing your time, because you can't look at yourself as a life insurance agent. You got to look at yourself as a financial guide and an entrepreneur. And with that, you got to run your business and you got to manage your time. And listen, that's really hard for a lot of people. And so I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is easy, but what I will tell you is that it's the most worth it thing in the world if you can break through the barrier and do it. But in order for you to increase your chances of breaking through that barrier, I think you got to make sure you align with the right people. Now, when you break through this, the last thing I want to say is you get through all this stuff. Okay, that's all what it is. And you get through your warm market, then the question is what? I'm a believer every single person should create content. Every single person should be posting on social media, creating reels, creating TikTok videos, creating YouTube videos. Even if it doesn't provide you any sales, any leads, anything, I'm a big believer the best way to learn is to teach. A lot of people ask me, Chris, how do you know so much about this stuff? I force myself to. I create videos every single day. You're not gonna find a person on the internet that is more dedicated to creating consistent quality content about life insurance products and financial strategies than me. Am I the best? No, I don't know. Maybe you think I am. Hopefully you think I'm good. But I'm not gonna sit here and think I'm the best. But I will tell you is nobody's gonna outwork me. Nobody's gonna be more dedicated to mastering the craft. And you need that drive. And the way I know so much is because I spend so much time teaching. And in my teaching, I learn. And over the past 7 years, since the end of 2015, when I launched the Life 180 YouTube channel, over that period of time, all the different videos, all the different inspiration for the different types of content, I've had to do research on every single one of them. I get people that call me out on certain things, and it forces me to hone my craft. And every time I do a video and everything, even all the videos, I mean, I've got almost 1,000 videos live on the YouTube channel. I've got probably another 2,000 behind the scenes. I do a lot of training videos. We do a weekly training for our agents. I do so many videos that doing those and being consistent with it forces me to up my game, forces me to improve my communication about all these different sales concepts, forces me to learn more about the problems that our products solve for the different individuals out there. And when you live and breathe this stuff, heck, when you dream this stuff like I do, you know, it just shows up. And you got to show up. It's got to be intuitive. It's got to be authentic. You can't be thinking it. It's just got to be responsive. You know what I mean? And when you do it that way, you will grow into it and you will become who you need to be to hit that 6-figure mark or even more, right? And that's what it's all about. So my encouragement to you is make sure you subscribe to the channel. You know, I do a lot of stuff. I've got playlists that will help you navigate being an agent. I've got playlists that will educate you on Index Universal Life if you're down that field, on whole life insurance, on infinite banking, on how to use term insurance, on other financial strategies, just basic financial structure things, getting out of debt. I did a series in November on, you know, just the principles, financial principles of money, a different video every single day on the principles of money and just different financial concepts, understanding the basics of things. These are the things that force you to like do a deeper dive. And I just want to pay that forward to you. And by doing that, I'm adding value to the world, and in turn, value comes back to me. So you have to look at your business as a life insurance agent in the same way. You're not just going out there to sell products. You got to figure out, how can I add the most value to people in my community, to people in my cold market, and how do I differentiate myself in the marketplace? It's a little bit of a rant for me. This is something that's been on my heart to talk about for a while. And I hope you found value in it. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them in the comment section below. I will do my best to engage with every single one of you. Anybody is always welcome to email Chris@Life180 if you need anything. And I do my best to respond to every single email. I get really like a crazy amount of emails. And so if I don't respond right away, be patient with me. I will do my best, or have my assistant do their best to get it to me, and we'll reach out and we'll prioritize. But you know, it might take 7 to 14 days for me to kind of get back to you on an email side, but I'm really, really good with comments in the comment section below. So that's it. Until next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. Good luck. Reach out if you need anything. Take care.